We're approaching championship season for Smash Bros., with main stage, the Panda Cup finale, and Smash World Tour finals all coming up in December. This weekend, players had one last chance to maneuver for their positions and avoid the carnage that'll be next month's last chance qualifiers. Today, we'll take you around the world to go over two majors, a national, and a super regional that all deserve your attention. We'll start with the biggest tournament of the weekend, the 607 entrant return of Apex, the tournament series in New Jersey that is responsible for some of the greatest events and moments in the history of the scene. There was a power vacuum at the top when Light, T, and Tweak, the tournament's top 3 seeds, all DQ'd, leaving Dabuz, Zomba, Mia, and Jackal as the highlights of a hungry cabal of players yet to win an Ultimate Major. Mia, the 6th seed, didn't know or care about this dynamic at all though, and decided to become the first Game & Watch main to win an American Major, and to be honest, it just wasn't all that close. Mia played in 28 games this weekend and won 26 of them. He only dropped games to Jackal, the New Jersey Wolf main in Grand Finals, and Armadillo, the Lucario/Aegis main from Canada, in Top 128. The best of 3 against Armadillo was an extremely tense set that, in hindsight, could have been the turning point of the event if not for a huge comeback by Mia in Game 1. Instead, Mia joined MK Leo and Light as the only players to ever win a tournament with more than 500 players with 2 or fewer game losses when playing at least 6 best-of-5 sets, which, we promise you, isn't a completely arbitrary statistic and does point to how dominant this was. Outside of his wins on Armadillo and Jackal, he also notched 5 straight 3-0 wins over Stefan, Mega, Leon, Quandale Dinglingleton, and MPG. Despite some significant travel complications in his first tournament outside of Japan, Mia showed up and embarrassed some of the Northeast's strongest soldiers and gave them a taste of what they may need to be ready for when he comes back for the SWT Finals at the end of December. Mia's tournament experience actually dates back to Smash 4's Sumabato 27, where he made it out of pools with Donkey Kong, finishing 65th out of over 250 entrants. But still, this is only Mia's 14th ever offline tournament according to SmashWiki, and only his 10th in the post-lockdown period. Mia's Game & Watch was forged in the fires of Japanese online play. He and Akola were the first 2 people to ever reach a rating of 2,500 in Smashmate, and that experience has carried them far beyond players who are almost twice their age. Mia continues the trend of prodigal smashers kicking butt and taking names at big events, but he can struggle a bit with inconsistency. Can he reach the final frontier at the Smash World Tour Finals? Or will the bright lights be too much for a young player who only has one career event with more than 600 players? Speaking of the Smash World Tour Finals, 7th seed Jackal needed to finish in the top 2 to overtake Kept, the Villager/Isabel player from Japan, for the final SWT qualifying position. When Jackal lost to Quandale Dinglingleton outside of top 8, it looked like that dream was dead. But Jackal had other plans. He snagged wins over Tilde, Leon, and Syrup before having to face off against PGR number 8 and King of New York, Dabuz. Jackal was able to steal a tight 5-game set over Dabuz to keep his Smash World Tour hopes alive. Then, after an equally close set with MPG, he locked himself into the Smash World Tour final and closed the door on Kept. Now, this is kind of unfortunate. Kept traveled the world to accumulate points, going to Austria, Korea, and Puerto Rico to try to qualify, but Jackal handled his business, and he was able to capitalize on the opportunities that he was afforded. All of this despite rarely leaving the east coast of the United States. The previously mentioned MPG was seeded 17th, but he ran all the way to 3rd, ending with an SPR of +6, which tied for the highest of the weekend. He started off by getting an upset win over PGRU number 19 Yanni, and then he took advantage of Light's DQ to beat John Numbers to make top 24 on winner's side. All he needed was one more win to make top 8, and he got it when he beat Gact 3-2 to make top 8 winner's side. At this point, MPG was already far beyond his best ever finish at an event with more than 400 entrants. He's had some 33rds and 49ths at majors before, and his prior best result was likely a 25th place finish at Collision, but he wasn't done yet. Another upset win, this time over Nessmain Syrup, put him into winners finals, and despite losing to Jackal and Mia, MPG delivered another deep bracket run to go with Peanut's second place at Riptide. For all the Megamans out there, it's time to rejoice, because Peanut also placed 7th at Dreamhack Atlanta this week. Are we seeing a renaissance of Mega Man? Let us know in the comments what you think about the Blue Bombers' recent resurgence. Outside of that, the ancient god that DeBuzz angered still has yet to let him win a major. Syrup and Quandale Dingle-Ingleton both considerably outplaced their seed and finished 5th, and PGRU V2 rank 28 Leon made his first major top 8 since Temple Hermes Edition in 2021. Now, before we're afforded the privilege to finally leave New Jersey, we have to talk about some of the less flashy but still impressive runs from the weekend. More players in top 16 finished with SPRs of +4 than placed their seed. Squid Plumber joined WaDi as just the second player from MDVA to finish in the top 16 of 2 majors in a row this year, this time claiming upset wins over Icy Mist and Suarez. This is despite finishing 17th at the MDVA Spring Arcadian, the tournament where only unranked players can enter, and being ranked 7th in Maryland on the most recent power rankings. Mega, one of the last Ike mains in the entire world, was seeded 103rd, but then beat Chunky Kong, G-Extreme, Waidu, and Mr. Zircon to finish 13th with a +6 SPR, tied with MPG for the highest SPR of the tournament. And finally, there's Ryu main Kanoka. Philly's rising star made the biggest upset of the weekend via Upset Factor, where he beat number 9 seed Tilde as the 73 seed. That secured an Upset Factor win of 6. Now, that would be where his run would come to an end, however, as he would lose to Rivers and GEICO, ending at 33rd with an SPR of +2. Oh, and also, if you're a Melee enjoyer like I am, you'll be pleased to know that AMSA won Melee, which is awesome! Go AMSA! If you're also an AMSA fan, and let's be honest, who isn't? Hit that subscribe button and check back next Thursday, as we'll be asking a question that very few people thought we would ever ask. Can AMSA become Melee's #1? And as Scar would say, Yoshi! Apex had enough stories for a full video, but that doesn't matter, because as it turns out, the world is bigger than New Jersey, and we have to cross an ocean to find our next tournament, Tech Republic 6 in Spain. Tech Republic 6 set a new attendance record for Spanish Smash Ultimate, as 418 players showed up to wreak havoc upon one of Ultimate's fastest growing scenes. Spain put just 4 players on the PGRU V3 compared to 19 from France and 11 from Great Britain, but they had an opportunity to prove the doubters wrong and hold home court, especially when tournament #1 seed Gluttony couldn't make it to the event. Unfortunately for the Spaniards though, Siski was the only one to finish in the top 12 at Tech Republic. Instead, it turned into a breakout weekend for one of British Smash's fastest rising players. The Tech Republic 6 champion had the highest SPR of any player this weekend with a whopping +7, 3 points higher than the second place finisher. That player's name is Loogie. Loogie is a name that if you don't know it, you should learn it quickly. He plays, and you'll never believe this one, Luigi. Wow! He was probably already the world's best Luigi prior to Tech Republic 6, but this run leaves absolutely no doubt. He had a dominant performance similar to that of Mia's, winning 9 sets and only losing 5 games total. In his romp through the tournament, he, as the 15th seed, took down Paint, Quick, Netoru, and Mr. R twice to win his second tournament of more than 350 players since July. Simply for the nature of his character, Loogie isn't likely to win any awards for the grace and beauty of his play, but he has one very simple thing that he does better than anyone else in Europe. Like the Grim Reaper or Ghost Pepper at a white man's barbecue, if he touches you, you will die. Loogie has been a big part of the rise of British Smash, and particularly the East of England, which has produced Loogie as well as Bloom Forever and Pelly, all 3 of whom have now taken home European majors. We're already at work on a video telling more of their story and the rise of their region, so once again we implore you, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Mr. R was able to secure his best ever placement at an Ultimate tournament with 400 plus players, with a second place using almost entirely Sheik, the character he used to dominate Europe with in Smash 4. The 3 other players in top 12 that finished with SPRs of +3 or higher were all French. Netoru picked up where he left off in the summer when he finished 9th at King of Fields 2, 7th at Colosel, and 25th at Double Down, with a run to 5th place that ended with an upset factor of 11. Netoru piloted Pichu, yes, seriously, Pichu, to upset wins over Siski, MK Big Boss, and SBF before falling to Loogie and Siski in the runback. Up next is Crepe Salée. I was asked to do it that way. Crepe plays Wario and Luigi and has good results around Europe, but doesn't travel outside of the EU and has yet to make a major top 8, so he was relatively unknown by the scene at large. That is, unless you had been paying attention to Gluttony, who knew this kid was going to be a star even 2 years ago. People will know the name now though, as he crushed Chag in a 3-0 victory that saw the Mexican Palutena specialist pull out a secret Bayonetta that was unable to do much work. Crepe lost to Mr. R and Siski to finish 7th at just his 3rd ever tournament of more than 400 players, making himself yet another fascinating French prospect in the world of Smash. The player Crepe beat to make top 8 was Vinz, a French Link main that has been quietly carrying the torch for Link since his former champion T stopped playing Smash competitively. Vinz beat Mozai, Auger, and other upstarts Paint and Charlie to finish 9th with an SPR of +3 for the weekend. And speaking of which, finally, we have Charlie, a Spanish Dark Samus main that is not Siski, who is playing in his first ever tournament with more than 400 entrants. He was knocked into losers early by Chag, but then nabbed upset wins over Enki, Ivan de Sevilla, and an upset factor 5 win over Pelly, who played mostly Mii Brawler this weekend, as opposed to his trusty Dedede and Sonic. Through that, Charlie finished 13th as a part of a 5-set losers run. All in all, despite being a little smaller and less chaotic than Apex, Tech Republic 6 was quality European Smash Brothers, and showed that the race for the European throne is probably closer than it has been for years. Consider players like Loogie and Bloom Forever finally making real shots at Gluttony for the title of Best Player in Europe, and new threats like Crepe Salée perhaps being closer than they appeared. European Smash is something to watch. Now, there are still a couple more tournaments to cover, but I'm kinda out of juice, so I'm gonna toss it over to Last, who sounds different than I do, and he'll take you through the rest of the video.
Now, to pivot back to the United States, we have Dreamhack Atlanta, where 2 Panda Cup finale spots were on the line for 1st and 2nd place. The winner, Apollo Kage, despite not having quite the dominance of the weekend's other champions, won the tournament through winner's side, getting wins on Vendetta, Goblin, Teaser, and 2nd place finisher and fellow qualifier Anathema. He even used Steve to get a win over MVD, his fellow Snake main. That Steve pick shocked quite a lot of people, but it shouldn't have. AK has been grinding the character at his locals, and Steve's zero-to-death ability is scarily reminiscent of that of AK's first main. That's right, Luigi. Playing the Snake Ditto against the single most experienced Snake in Smash history likely would have been asking for the hands from MVD. Instead, AK's secondary earned him a Panda Cup finale spot and cleared the way for his first national tournament victory. Speaking of DLC horrors beyond our comprehension, Ken main Jazzo took 5th place against a seed of 10th for an SPR of +2, and took a game off of 4th place finisher Goblin with a Kazuya that he insists is real and effective. Other than that, things at Dreamhack were pretty tame, all things considered. Nobody finished with an SPR of better than +4. The 2 players that did finish with an SPR of +4, Robin main iGreg and Snake main CJ Frozen, got there in opposite ways. CJ Frozen made the 3rd biggest upset of the tournament when he beat Moxie, the former PGRU player who has taken time away from the game as of late, with an upset factor of +5. Then, after beating Blue Jay, lost 2 straight sets to bow out at 17th against a seed of 80. iGreg was the player who landed the killing blow on Frozen, in the midst of an impressive 5-set losers run where he got good wins over Mr. M, Volt, and Naj SSBU before beating Frozen and falling to Peebnut. Moxie shook off her loss to Frozen and ran all the way to 9th place, going through a brutal losers gauntlet that included Bobby Wasabi, sorry buddy, Joe, TM7_Zap, Kobe, and Kaylin. She ended with an SPR of just +1. Before we move on to the last event in this rundown, we had previously mentioned both Apollo Kage and Anathema had earned qualification spots to the Panda Cup finale this December. Dreamhack Atlanta marked the penultimate event of the Nintendo-partnered circuit, with 6 remaining spots left for 2 vote-ins and 4 for the LCQ. Well, we here at PGstats are also happy to announce that the 2 vote-in spots will be awarded to Space Station Gaming Zomba and Moist Esports' Cola. Each player was selected due to the fact that, while they may not have achieved a spot at a Panda Cup event, their performances across the circuit were consistently impressive, earning them a spot at the finale. The PGstats team will be at the finale all weekend with on-the-ground coverage, interviews, and daily recaps. So, if you haven't already, be sure to check out the Panda Cup YouTube channel where you can catch all of the action. Last but not least, certainly when it comes to prize money, we head to Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, for the 109th Grey Cup Festival. Nope, we're not talking about Canadian football. We're talking about the $50,000 Canadian Smash Ultimate Tournament held as part of CFL's Championship Weekend's festivities, which goes down as Canada's richest Smash tournament ever and one of the top 10 internationally. Despite the prize money at stake, though, this was a fully Canadian affair, as the one US player who tried to make the trip, Mudace, had it ruined by travel delays. Geography is hard, so here's a reminder that East Canadian Smash, led by players like Riddles, Black Twins, Grape, and Supergirl Kells, and West Canadian Smash, led by players like Ouch, Big D, and Lemon, rarely actually play against each other. Canada, it turns out, is a pretty large country. Path to Glory, though, was central and thus treated us to a clash of all of Canada's talent that we rarely get to see. Despite British Columbia and West Canada taking the crew battle, the main bracket was a clear enough win for East Canada. Riddles took the tournament through winners and was only pushed to a decisive game once in winter semis against Ouch. For his troubles, Riddles took home a cool $15,000 Canadian, which is still over $11,000 US after factoring in the exchange rate. Not bad for a weekend's work. Ouch would make the losers run back to second, one of two British Columbia players in top 8, along with Lemon. For East Canada, Ontario placed 4 players in the top 8. Riddles, 4th place finisher Grape, and 5th place finisher Elijahman, with Montreal Smash legend Supergirl Kells picking up a 7th place finish that will be her last tournament of the year. A couple of Canada's more isolated regions got in on the action as well. Manitoba's top player, Fox Chic dual-main Strikey Guy, an incredibly consistent offline player in his home region with an astounding 88% win rate, took 5th place. The most shocking result, though, may just have been the run from Albertan Wii Fit and Pitmain Silver. This was just Silver's 4th appearance at an offline tournament of at least 150 players, and in his 3 prior appearances, he finished no higher than 9th. Silver's biggest wins came over Steve Pokemon Trainer player Soar in a 3-2 fashion, and then, already in top 8 on winner's side, he took out Canada's top snake, Grape, 3-1. With Thanksgiving week coming up, we'll be taking some time off in the second half of this week. But hit that subscribe button because we've got one more video tomorrow covering Mango's run at Smash Summit 14. And we'll be back next week with a recap of this weekend's Japanese tournament action and a preview of the incredibly busy December, Smash's upcoming championship month. Thanks for watching. I've been Last, joined by the lovely Kimona. We hope you've enjoyed this video, and, as always, we'll see you next time.